You guys choose a council meeting to do this? To an upstanding citizen of this town? Unbelievable.
Is there an option of somebody getting arrested at City Hall at 2 o'clock in the morning? I don't know. I just think that there's bound to be another option besides that.
I'm not really sure what to, it's so, as far as
it's so difficult to
making
get
a motion to do something, there's no room for action here.
Okay.
At Leon Valley, it seems like they're always ready to remind us just how much tyranny they're capable of. A few weeks ago at a city council meeting, after Olin Yarnell, a 78-year-old member of the public there who's involved in trying to take back the government for the people, after he was quite critical and effective also in exposing the political establishment, they arrested him after the meeting on an arrest warrant for an alleged offense that occurred over a year ago. Yet they chose 2 o'clock after a meeting, that's 2 o'clock in the morning, to make the arrest. I have new video of that arrest, so hang tight if you'd like to see that. But first, I'd like to give a big thank you to a number of the people who gave generous contributions to help cover his entire legal fee. That's right, and full transparency, I wrote a check last week for $3,500 to his attorney who he's retained, Luis Martinez, a $3,500 retainer to cover his legal defense, and that's paid. And I'd like to thank all of y'all who stood up. Over 100 people donated to help raise that, and it's great that we can stand up to the bully police and the bully political establishment and say, hey, if you're going to go after people, the whole world is behind them, and we have their back. And I think we have demonstrated that we have Mr. Yarnell's back, and those fighting to end the tyranny in Leon Valley, to restore liberty, we're there to support you. And I thank all of you who made it possible. It sends a very powerful message. I'd like to especially thank Josh Stevens, Tony Marufo, Scott and Jackie Conrad, Edward Fitzpatrick, Travis Brazil, Brent, Councilman Will Bradshaw, and I have a message here. He says, thank you, Justin, for all you do for the rights of the citizens. Olin Yarnell is a good man, and it is disgraceful what is going on in Leon Valley. Thank you, Councilor Bradshaw. I'd like to thank David Kincaid, Larry McRae, Danette Mitchell, Renardo Orozco, and Nanette Nino. Thank you all for your generous support, and everyone else who contributed the showing of support. Again, it's so powerful, the how quickly we're able to come to defend someone standing up to Leon Valley's political establishment. In case you missed it, here's what happened after that city council meeting.
What are they arresting him for?
For what?
For assault of who?
It doesn't say that, but it is a warrant issued by Erick Matta.
Well, don't have to have a record of who I assaulted?
The report is on file with the district attorney.
Is this a setup?
Discuss it back here.
Is this a setup, Chief?
What?
Assistant Chief, is this a setup?
No, there's a warrant.
Really?
See it?
So you guys choose
Okay.
you guys choose a council meeting to do this? To an upstanding citizen of this town? Unbelievable. Unbelievable, Chief of Police. You should be ashamed of yourself.
I'm editing this video right now. There's a couple of things I just caught on with this new video that I wanted to touch on. First, they had the paperwork, the warrant, the report right there in their hands, and they could have shown it right then. Who wouldn't have? But it's this whole thing about they don't want the public, they don't want you to know this stuff. If you, in the description and maybe up there somewhere, I'll have a link to the previous video I did about this where I went over the affidavit, the arrest affidavit, and the police report. But they had it right there. It could have been public at that night. It was early Friday morning, and said we ain't get the stuff until the affidavit on Monday. The police report, it was even much later than that because they gave it to their preferred media before they gave it out to me, their preferred, fake media reporter. So the first thing is the paper was right there and said they're giving lip service like, it's on file at the DA or some, whatever, just they're jerks at Leon Valley. And then the next thing, Mr. Yarnell is asking questions. Everyone's asking questions. And
what do? They go, oh, well, we'll take care of it, or we'll talk back there, and they scurry away out of the public. They, out away from the cameras. There are multiple people filming. Leon Valley is deathly afraid of transparency. They're deathly afraid of cameras. They're deathly afraid of the First Amendment. What in the world are the city administrators up to and the police department officials and officers up to that people could be so against the foundational pillars of American government and policy? What could be going on at Leon Valley that they have this much to hide?
And so to summarize, I sent a $3,500 check to the attorney for the retainer for his defense. And if you'd like to see the PayPal pool to see all the messages and see how many people donated, that's in the video description below. We raised about $3,300, so it was a little short, but I went ahead and covered the rest so we could just cover the whole thing. So you can check out that PayPal pool below. Well, I guess this is a lot more transparency than Leon Valley, where I'm trying to get attorney bills right now, and they're writing to the Attorney General to see if they can withhold it. And these aren't the only updates. At the last city council meeting, the mayor put on the agenda after seeing this arrest. She wanted to finally have that conversation about the police department policies and maybe some reform in Leon Valley. And so this is what happened at the meeting. I want you to see, and we'll leave a comment. Pause before you see it. Leave a comment. What do you think the response was? How do you think her discussion, her presentation about the police department policies, how do you think that went over at the meeting? All right, you left your comment, you're back. Now we can all see how much the political establishment in Leon Valley really cares about having speech and dialogue and the First Amendment and upholding everyone's rights.
Let's again be civil and treat each other with respect and dignity, and thank you very much for your cooperation. So we will move then to agenda item number 2, which is presentation. And actually, I had asked for this particular agenda item, and let me read it. Discuss police policies and standard operating procedure for allowing an individual to self-surrender. Don't know how many of you all were here last meeting, but again, I'm not second guessing what happened. Those of you that had already gone, we had a gentleman that was arrested after the council meeting, an elderly resident who's lived here 40 plus years. I did get his permission before I put it on this agenda because I wanted to respect that. And I guess I was just shocked at what happened. And I had spoken to the city attorney to see if there was another option besides arresting a citizen at City Hall. And I had asked our former mayor, Baldridge, if she had ever experienced anything like that, and she said she had not. So I'm really not sure how to proceed, but what concerned me was I had gotten an email or a text or something by a citizen who had said that on Nextdoor, and of course I don't know about Nextdoor because I'm not on there, but that one of our regular attendees here in the chambers, who's on the police advisory committee, had said that there's 4 more arrests coming. So that's what got my concern up, because I thought, is there another option? And so Charlie Zeck said, yes, Mayor, there is. He thought that we could discuss, if you have a warrant for your arrest, could you possibly just turn yourself in? I don't know. So,
Mayor?
Yes, Ms. Charles, I was wondering how we could do this differently than just kind of yelling at me. So, I don't know.
Well, how would you like for me to do it? I'm trying to get your attention.
Yes, ma'am. I was asking if you could somehow, maybe, Crystal, do you have a chat room? She could, you could say that Ms. Charles wants to speak. Would you turn on your video and just raise your hand? That was really what I'd prefer. But I understand that the governor.
Voice.
I'm sorry?
I'm thinking that you probably recognize my voice, and I've called your name and asked for attention.
Yes, ma'am. I just would prefer a little bit more orderly way, and I just wish we could, the suspension of the Open Meetings Act has been extended by the governor to July 11th. So you and Ms. Alcacer do not have to appear on video. So we've got another 30 days, and let's
Mayor,
see what
would it
happens.
help?
I
Yes.
had a comment. That's why I'm trying to get your attention.
Okay. Does anyone else have an idea on how I could handle that?
I do.
Differently? Yes.
I was just wondering if it would help you, if you see the same screen that I'm seeing, you can see when they're unmuted. So when they're
Oh,
unmuted,
that's
then
a
maybe
good
they want
idea.
to speak. I thought
Okay.
maybe that could help you.
That's a great
So
idea.
that-
Thank you.
that-
I really appreciate that.
I'm just going to make a comment. That will only work while I have the screen up.
Uh-huh.
And once I get onto a PowerPoint, you will not see this screen. Same
Okay.
thing with the reason with the chat room. So I just want to
Okay.
make, it'll work for right now, but
So,
once I move to a
yes, and-
PowerPoint, that won't work.
Could somebody,
I don't have dual screens here, I have one.
I understand. Thank you. Very good. Okay. Yes, Counselor Bradshaw, you have an idea?
Well, I was going to say the same thing about a chat room, but I think Crystal said if you're sharing a PowerPoint, you won't see the chat. Is that right? Okay.
Okay,
So I don't
all
know.
right, sounds good. Well, if we're on a PowerPoint, I don't think it's going to be, unless it's a point of order, I promise you, everyone at the dais will be able to speak, as well as the citizens. So we'll just go around and make sure everybody gets their, okay, so Counselor Charles, I didn't notice that you have unmuted yourself, so please go ahead and make your comment.
Yes, I wanted to know if you had spoken to the chief about this topic.
No, I did not.
Okay, my advice and my recommendation and my motion is to remove this item from the agenda and set it for a date certain so that you will be able to talk to the chief and gain some information. So we'll have something to discuss.
I'm sorry, you had broken up, you said to postpone it to do what now?
I would
Talk to the
make a
chief
motion
and then
that
something
this
else.
item be removed from the agenda and placed to a date certain so that you will have an opportunity to meet with and talk with the chief of police about this topic. And then we'll have something to discuss.
We'll have something to discuss. Well, I wanted to discuss an alternative to someone getting arrested at City Hall and turning themselves in. Is that not a discussion item?
However, you need to know the laws about that before we can discuss it.
Okay, let me ask Mr. Zek if he'll weigh in on that, because he didn't ask me to do any kind of legal research. Mr. Zek,
Yes, ma'am.
do I need to have some kind of law that Miss Donna Charles was saying that I needed to have a law, the background of the law before we proceeded? We didn't, when we talked about it, this is what you had suggested.
My
that-
comment was that you needed to know the laws on the books so that we would have something to discuss.
Okay, excuse me, Chief, you're not recognized. I'm sorry, just a minute. Mr. Zek?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so you had recommended that I put this on the agenda as is.
Mayor, I did not recommend that you put this on the agenda.
Well, the wording,
You
The wording.
asked whether or not there was a discussion to be had regarding this issue. And I said that it would be an appropriate discussion to have with regards to what is the city's policy, what are the standard operating procedures
okay,
regarding self-surrender. But let's
Okay.
be clear, I didn't tell you to put this on the agenda.
no, I'm sorry, you are so correct, but you helped me with the wording, that's right. So do I need to get the standard operating procedures down first before we discuss? Is that the appropriate way to proceed?
That's up to this governing body as to how they want to
Okay.
approach the
So
discussion.
I'm
Mayor,
assuming,
may I again state that I believe that you should meet with the chief of police to determine if there are any policies or procedures.
Point of order, Mayor.
okay,
Ms.
Just
Charles was
stop.
not recognized and continues to
And-
violate the rules
and-
that you've set forth.
And that we take it from the agenda and put it at a date certain. that we can
okay,
discuss.
Ms. Charles, thank you for that, I
Okay, but-
appreciate it, I've heard you. And is that that's one person's opinion? Do we have another input from
motion.
other people? Is that a motion?
Yes,
I
I
didn't know-
motion for it to
okay.
be removed from the agenda till we have additional.
I didn't hear the word motion. Okay, I just thought it was a suggestion. Okay, so do we have somebody that wants to second that?
Mayor,
Yes, Ms. Kinsler, thank you for raising your hand. I appreciate that. That's much easier.
Mayor Riley, this is not an action item.
No.
And
it's
so I don't, I'm
I
not
just
really
wanted
sure
a
what to.
discussion.
So
That's
as far
all.
as
It's so difficult to get
making a
anything.
motion to do something, there's no room for action here.
Okay.
I would
Yes,
like to ask
Counselor-
a question.
Yes, Counselor Alcacer, you're recognized, and then Counselor Bradshaw, you're recognized after Counselor Alcacer. Go ahead, please.
My question is for Mr. Zek, I believe then, does that mean that it can't just be removed from this agenda and put on the 7th or the 21st when we have more information?
Y'all can do, as a governing body, y'all can do whatever you want with this agenda item, so long as a majority of you vote to decide to do it.
Okay, then I will second Ms. Charles, as long as it's put on either the 7th or the 21st of July.
Okay. We have a motion by Counselor Alcacer and a second by a motion by Counselor Charles and a second by Counselor Alcacer to postpone presentation number 2 to either July 7th or the following meeting, July 21st, I believe. And we do have more discussion, and Counselor Bradshaw, if you'll continue, please.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm not sure the point of postponing this agenda item, but I'm also not sure of what we can and can't ask with regards to this question as far as the law goes, because, I feel like this is something we could talk about in general terms rather than a specific incidents that happened last council meeting. But I would also like to know, what are people's options when there is a warrant out and how they're notified, et cetera. And those seem like pretty basic questions that I believe the chief could probably answer.
Right. Yes, I've got a slew of questions, so maybe I'd like to submit those to Chief so you could answer those, because I wasn't quite sure. I just wanted to bring it to our attention that is there an option of somebody getting arrested at City Hall at 2 o'clock in the morning? I don't know. I just think that there's bound to be another option besides that. So, Counselor Hody, what would you like to say before we vote?
I would like to have it on the 7th, not the 21st.
Yes, sir. Okay, we'll have it on the 7th then. Thank you. So, we have the motion and the second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed?
Aye.
Oh, wait a minute. Okay, let's try that again. All those in favor of postponing this agenda item to July the 7th, say aye.
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 Any opposed?
No.
The motion carries 4 ayes and 1 nay. Okay, thank you.
Point of order! Point of order! Point of order! So, as many of y'all may have guessed, the discussion was shut down before it even got going. More of the same in Leon Valley. Thank you all for watching, and thank you all for your support. I hope you have a great day, and always be sure to film the police and your government officials.